Creed is back. I'm happy to report that the two new releases, Centaurus and Delphinus, are amazing. What do they smell like? How do they compare? Which one is best for you? Do you need both maybe? All these questions answered in this video. Before I smelled them, I did not really have any major expectations because Creed as a perfume house seemed to be declining creativity-wise and mostly living off their older releases. Absolute Aventus was something for the Aventus fans. Carmina was a big miss for me because it smelled like nice rose with cough syrup. Queen of Silk is a very interesting, mature perfume. I appreciate it and I have a bottle, but it's not something that I actually want to wear that often. But these two, Centaurus and Delphinus, amazing. It's the first time in years that I actually want them both and I'm ready to wear them often. Both bottles look amazing, but we'll start with the Fiery Red Centaurus. Centaurus, named not after the mythical beast, but after the constellation, the biggest constellation in the sky. Centaurus is part of the Amber Duo. So these two fragrances represent an Amber Duo from Creed, and Centaurus is the drier and I would say slightly more masculine, although they are both totally unisex. So slightly drier version of Creed Amber. Generally, what is amber? Not to be confused with ambergris. Amber is this warm, enveloping, cozy feeling you get when resins are mixed with something slightly sweet like vanilla or benzoin. And as far as ambers go, Centaurus here is a very nice example of a complex, spicy amber fragrance. I won't read you the note pyramid because you can Google it, you don't need me for that. What I'll do, I'll tell you what it actually smells like. Centaurus starts spicy. In the first seconds you feel a wave of black pepper. Black pepper has this wonderful dark, woody, tart, aromatic character that's really unique and you feel it here, but then it's joined by cardamom and cardamom takes it by the hand and starts leading it into more traditionally sweet spice territory, and then you get the cinnamon. And cinnamon rounds up this trio of spices in the beginning, makes it very smooth, very easy to breathe, so nothing sticks out, nothing is sort of tingling your nose. It's a very rounded, balanced experience. If you know your way around fragrances, you'll notice that this is a very unusual opening because 99% of all perfumes on the market open with citruses. Citruses deliver this freshness, they capture the nose, they set you in a good mood from the first second, and it's an easy thing to do. So here Creed went into a different direction and they succeeded. They took a risk with this opening, but it's very, very good. I can feel this opening accord for about 3 minutes, and then it starts to blend with the body of the fragrance, with the heart notes that will be accompanying you for the next 1-2 hours maybe. The heart of this fragrance consists of flowers. It's jasmine and heliotrope. I feel both, but they are very finely balanced because they appear against the backdrop of spices on the one hand and the base on the other. And jasmine that can be quite high-pitched if overdosed. Here it gets this black tea with jasmine quality because the spices and the woods make it feel very balanced and kind of woody and a little bit subdued. Heliotrope in here adds the honey dimension to the fragrance because it supports the cinnamon and the sweet resins that are following in the base. So the heart is very pleasant. To be honest, it's not the most exciting part of the fragrance for me, and that's a good thing because the base reveals itself quite quickly too. One more distinctive but not defining note of Centaurus is tobacco. Tobacco starts somewhere between the top notes and the base notes. It continues throughout the base. It blends beautifully with honey, heliotrope and spices, but it's not the signature note of this perfume because this is still a spicy, ambery fragrance, not a tobacco spicy fragrance. The base of Centaurus consists of dry woods, resins, and spices. The wood is quite dry, so maybe something like cedar wood, but it's mixed with incense, and incense gives this smoky, aromatic, slightly sweet, slightly fresh spiciness to it. And it's combined with vanilla, and vanilla has this wonderful ability to make any fragrance round and soft. Because without vanilla in here, I think Ambroxan would be dominating. And Ambroxan is a quite controversial ingredient. I mean, on the one hand, it gives power to any fragrance. It gives long lastingness. It gives this characteristic presence and sillage, but on the other, it can really get on your nerves. So while Ambroxan or similar molecules are definitely in here, because of this wonderful dose of vanilla and incense and the woodiness of cedarwood, it feels soft and round and not aggressive. If I had to describe Centaurus in one sentence, I'd say it's a fresh, light, sophisticated, European type of amber. In terms of longevity, it's good, but it's not great because it's not a monster perfume. Creed does not do monsters, luckily. On my skin, I feel the presence of Centaurus for about 4 hours in a very good way. After that, it starts to get very close to skin. Your mileage may vary, of course, because from skin to skin, perfumes can reveal themselves differently. But on me, after 4 hours, you have to really sniff at my wrist to feel it, which is not a bad thing. And every now and then I get like a wave when the wind blows that covers my nose. So I get little waves of it throughout the day, but not in a very intensive way anymore. The last tiny bits of dry woodiness disappear. Well, I don't know when they disappear because after 12 hours they were still there. I could still smell them on my skin. And after that I normally shower, so I don't know. Probably it lasts even longer, but very close to skin and only the base. Good sillage, 4 hours on me, maybe 5 hours or 6 hours on you. Overall, a very well-rounded, very elegant, very sophisticated amber fragrance. I think in terms of gender, all the perfumes are not gendered. This is a totally ungendered fragrance. How does Centaurus compare to other perfumes? If we compare it to some classic ambers like, say, Grand Soir or Francisco Zhang, this is much more sophisticated, understated, light, dry, and elegant, because Grand Soir has much more punch. It has much more rough, ambery, resinous component to it. This here is much better blended. It is more complex and also lighter, so it does not have the power that, say, a perfume like Grand Soir brings to the table. But it doesn't need it because it's a different style of fragrance, I guess. Another elephant in the room is comparison to Serge of Naxos, because both fragrances feature tobacco. Both have this, while Naxos has really honey in it, this has honey, heliotrope, and spices that together give this honey feeling. So both have similar components, but it's two totally different perfumes. Naxos is a monster. It is built around honey and tobacco. It's like tart, rough, slightly sweet but not too sweet tobacco, plus an oozing honey syrupy drench. That's Naxos. This is totally different. This is not so loud. So in terms of longevity and sillage, Naxos, well, I mean, it's just a monster. I don't have any other words to describe it. Naxos is a monster. This is a sophisticated gentleman or lady. Centaurus is, again, more sophisticated, more complex, better blended, I would say, and also easier to wear, because Naxos can get very tiring after a while. This does not get tiring because it has, it develops on skin. It's not a linear perfume. You really feel the progression of the elements. You get the complete bouquet over time. So it's a joy to behold throughout the day. Moving on to Delphinus, also named after a constellation, has an orange bottle, very bright. It is a perfume that I feel is not as dry as Centaurus, and it has more of tonka bean. Tonka bean is sort of the star of this ambery bouquet. But first things first, Delphinus opens just like Centaurus, not with citruses, but with a spice accord. And here we have black pepper, but it's combined with pink pepper. And pink pepper is actually something that smells very fresh, closer to citruses than black pepper, and so it gives this nice fresh vibe. But the opening sequence does not last very long, because I feel that in this perfume the heart reveals itself almost instantly. And the heart of Delphinus consists of flowers, heliotrope, and almond. And almond for me is very prominent in here, and normally I kind of dislike almond. Recently, I've been avoiding almond fragrances because maybe I got an overdose after Sergiov's Italica or Casamarati's Italica. So I was kind of, I had too much almond at some point, and I thought that I stopped liking almondy fragrances until I met Delphinus. This one I love. Here almond is gorgeous. It's not too overpowering while still very present and discernible. So here almond is rounded up by the honey heliotrope and by the spices. It takes down a notch a little bit because otherwise almond can feel like too much. It can get these paint remover vibes that are chemical and sort of unpleasant. Here none of that is in the bottle. Here the almond is the roundest, softest, most beautiful almond you can imagine, blended with florals and spices. And one thing that I think is responsible for this well-blendedness of the perfume is exceptionally beautiful orris butter. Orris butter is gorgeous. I think Creed really used a very nice quality in here because it gives this groundness. You can feel the oily butteriness of it, but at the same time it's super elegant. It has the earthy component that combines with a nice irisy note. So all in all, this is a super well-rounded perfume in the heart. And then when the base reveals itself, it gets even more dimension because in the base there is tonka bean. And tonka bean gives up cherry vibes, almondy vibes, so it blends with the almond note and at the same time gives the velvety feeling of an overripe, very sweet cherry. And while Delphinus is by no means a cherry perfume, this tonka bean undertone really gives it the slight cherry vibe of late summer. I love it here. Of course, the base does not consist only of tonka bean. There is also beautiful sandalwood because I feel something very creamy in it, and also vanilla and a little bit of leather. So the leather is not perceivable as note, at least to me, but it definitely grounds the perfume and gives it depth and dimension and sort of darkness that you need to build a nice, sexy, dark base underneath. So this is Delphinus. In fact, if I were choosing a color for this perfume, I'd go not with this orange because orange looks very fresh. I'd go with something darker, like a dark cherry bottle. I think this would look beautiful with this, like a red with a little bit of blue mixed in. But either way, Delphinus is my personal favorite. Comparing the two, Centaurus is drier. It's slightly more masculine, although both of them are perfectly wearable for all the sexes. Delphinus has more moisture, if you like, in it because of this juicy tonka bean accord that's in the perfume. So I think that all in all, this is drier, more towards tobacco, and this is smoother, darker, goes more towards tonka bean. Both are actually lovely. I really like them both, and I'm not only saying it for the review, it's actually true. I decided to get myself one, and like I couldn't. At one point I sprayed them all over and mixed them up and decided that actually that's the best way to go because they layer beautifully as well. It's a decadent layering combination, two creeds, but it's an explosion for the senses, the best of both worlds. So if you can get both of them, I'd actually say go for both. If you would like to have one, if you prefer tobacco, go with Centaurus. If you prefer tonka bean, sort of slight cherry vibe, go with Delphinus. But both are a reason that I'm again excited for Creed. I haven't been excited for the House of Creed for a long time, but after these two came out, I'm looking forward to what they have to offer in the future because not everything is lost.